and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I decided that I wanted to put to the test the Blendiful and the sponge. I love the Blendiful. I love my sponge. They both just are different, and I wanted to see what the differences are side by side. So I'm going to do one side of the face with the Blendiful and the other side of the face with the sponge and see what the differences are. Let's get into the video. For primer today, I am going to do a mix of two. I'm using the Maybelline Master Prime Hydrate and Smooth for around my face, and then the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer for basically my T-zone to kind of fill in those pores a little bit. I'm just going to apply this primer with my fingers. Take some of the e.l.f. Putty Primer, and I'm going to kind of put it on the skin first. Then I'm going to take a corner of the Blendiful and kind of push that into the skin. Just take whatever leftover I have onto the forehead, and I can really feel it pushing the product into my skin. For this side, I'm just going to use my fingers because I don't usually use my sponge to press in my primer. I just usually kind of blend it in with my finger. So that's what I'm going to do. So for foundation today, I'm going to be using the Maybelline 24-Hour Superstay Foundation. I wanted to try a little bit more of a full coverage foundation to just really be able to tell. I've got 1-2 Fair Porcelain and 1-12 Natural Ivory. If you're wondering, I'm very, very certain that there are shades in between these two that would probably match me perfectly, but when I bought these, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to take a little bit more of the Fair Porcelain because I'm just need just a tint of this dark one here to make it really work for me. And I'm just going to kind of apply this to my skin first. And I'm going to go in with the sponge, or the Blendiful I mean, and blend that out. I'm going to take a little bit more straight from the back of my hand onto the Blendiful just to hit some of the areas that I missed, like on the cheek area and on the nose. Okay, so far so good. I am noticing my skin is a little bit more on the dry side right now. So using the Blendiful, it is kind of clinging more to those dry patches on my skin, but I don't really think that that's really going to change since, again, my skin is on more of the dry side right now. So I'm going to go in with the sponge. Now, one thing with using a sponge, it kind of shears out the coverage a little bit more, so I might have to work a little bit harder on this side to make the coverage match a little bit. Now, I did use about the same amount of product on both sides of my face. The side with the sponge just has a little bit more coverage than the side with the Blendiful. One thing, there are differences though. This side looks a lot more natural looking than the side with the sponge. So if you want something that's a little bit more natural application and just kind of shears everything out, you can definitely still build up the coverage for sure. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right here. Another thing I'm seeing is this is a matte foundation, and so the Blendiful kept true to that matte, but the side with had a little bit of luminosity to it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it just definitely does kind of make these pores around my cheek area a little bit more prominent. I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer for the under eye area. So we're going to start with the side with the Blendiful. Is the side with the concealer with using the Blendiful. It definitely just kind of sheared it out and made it look very natural and kind of airbrushed. As far as my under eyes go, I'm not really seeing much of a difference because this side has just a little bit more coverage. It's kind of hard to tell the differences. So I think that there really isn't any differences. So we're gonna go in with some powder now. Using the L'Oreal Hydra Perfect, and I really like using the Blendiful to apply powder with, can I just say. I don't know what it just applies powder so beautifully. So I'm interested to see the difference. I really like applying powder with my sponge too, but the Blendiful just does a really good job with applying powder. And I like to use whatever little bit I have left on my sponge for my under eyes, just because I don't like to use a lot of powder for my under eyes. I do like to kind of bake my nose a little bit. Going in with my sponge, I'm going to pick up some powder. While my nose is baking, I am seeing differences in both sides using the powder. First off, the side using the Blendiful, it looks a lot more natural and doesn't look powdery, whereas the side with the sponge or the beauty blender, it does look a little bit more caked on, but not like in a bad way. You can just tell that I'm wearing makeup on this side a little bit more. Trying to see the under eyes. The under eyes look about the same. It's easier to pack on the powder, like if you're doing a bake, like I am doing on my nose right now, to pack on with the sponge, I feel, than using the Blendiful. But I mean, that's not really a big deal. I just have to go in with more powder to pack it in to bake. But yeah, so far, even though I did get more coverage with the foundation on this side than this side, I am liking this side better because it just is a lot more natural looking versus this side. It's still beautiful and gorgeous. It just does look like I'm wearing a bit more makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe away this bake now. And with where I applied it with this one, I do have to go with the brush and wipe that away. Alright guys, there is my face makeup using the Blendiful and the sponge. Now I'm gonna quickly go off camera and finish the rest of my face, and then we can really tell how the rest of the makeup applied over top of the two sides of my face. Alright guys, so I finished applying the rest of my makeup. Looking at my skin close up, I am noticing a couple differences. This side does look a little bit more smoother. I mean, it's not really that much of a difference though. This side does look a lot more natural looking though. So, but it's still smooth on this side too. I think that because my skin is kind of going through a phase right now and it's kind of dry and oily and it's just kind of all over the place, my skin isn't in the place that it usually is. So overall though, I think that they look really good together. I do like how fast the Blendiful is to apply my makeup with. This probably takes me about a minute, maybe two, to apply my foundation, whereas with the sponge I have to go in and work with the sponge a little bit more to get a more even application. Overall, the Blendiful I think works quicker. It gives you definitely more of a natural airbrushed look to your skin, whereas the sponge is longer. You have to really pounce on your skin and blend everything out more, and it just looks a little bit more caked on, I guess, than the Blendiful does. You can do everything with the Blendiful, like using the powder with the Blendiful. It just melts that powder into your skin, whereas this, using the sponge to apply my powder with, it does look a little bit more powdery on my face. Overall, I think both tools are amazing. You can, spend $18 and you get the Blendiful with a little mini Blendiful. I love this set so much and I'm going to continue to use it all the time. But if you're looking for a more cheaper option using a sponge, this is the Real Technique sponge. It's $6 at Walmart or Target or online or wherever. So depending on your preference, if you want something that's quick and easy and natural and airbrush like, or if you want something that's cheaper that you have to work a little bit harder to get a similar effect to it, go for the sponge. But overall, both tools are amazing. They both are just different, so it's hard to compare them side by side because they are different tools. But this is the look that I got using both. I love the way that both sides look. It's just the preference on what I'm wanting that day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I love you guys. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!